Welcome to our overview of the 2024 CSTPs, or California Standards for the Teaching Profession. When the 2009 CSTPs were reviewed, the following focal areas were identified as places the CSTPs needed additional language or clarifying information on in order to better reflect current education research and to better support students in California. When you look at the 2024 CSTPs, the 6 domains and their domain names are exactly the same as the 2009 CSTPs. There are a total of 6 different domains, and each one is still reflected in the standards. There are 3 major changes in the 2024 CSTPs. The first change would be the standard domain descriptors. The second would be the element and element labels. And third is a new piece called the indicators of practice. So for domain 1, as you can see on the left, is the 2009 domain descriptor for engaging and supporting all students in learning. And on the right is the 2024 descriptor for CSTP1. Although both reflect engaging and supporting all students in learning, the details that you see in the 2009 CSTP descriptor are now going to be found broken into the individual elements within the domain. The new descriptor provides a more holistic explanation of what's encapsulated in CSTP1. To take a look at the standard elements, let's start with CSTP 2009 Element 1.4, using a variety of instructional strategies, resources, and technologies to meet students' diverse learning needs. As you can see, there's no longer a 1.4. Instead, we have Element 1D. And now there's a title for 1D, Diversity and Equity. Element 1D is different than 1.4. Here it says teachers are responsive to students' diverse experiences, cultures, language, identities, interests, strengths, and needs, and apply evidence-based principles that intentionally cultivate equitable access, opportunities, and positive outcomes for each student. This is distinctly different from 1.4, and it also has greater specificity. It's important to note that as you're looking through the 2024 CSTP, there's not always going to be an exact corresponding 2009 element. Finally, we have the indicators of practice. In the 2009 version of the CSTPs, there were no indicators of practice. Instead, there were a series of reflective questions that were given at the end of each of the domains. In an effort to provide greater clarity about what each of the elements mean, you're now going to see example indicators. So within element 1D, there are now 4 different possible example indicators, or ways that an educator could show that they're meeting element 1D, equity and diversity. So if we break down the anatomy of a standard, the domain name, number, and title, those remain the same. The descriptor for the domain has revised language. The elements themselves have both new labels and new language. And instead of having reflective questions, there are now indicators of practice for each one of the CSTP elements. If you'd like to explore additional resources, a PDF of the full standards can be found linked at the top. There's a 2009-2024 side-by-side comparison document, an overview of the big changes in the California Standards for the Teaching Profession, and the communication to the CTC with recommended action with the new CSTPs in February of 2024. This document may be of interest to you if you'd like to learn more about the background of the process for developing the CSTPs.